go. And then I will start to share my screen and we'll kick it off. It's nice to see some faces as well. You're free to switch on or off the camera, whatever suits you best. While I'm presenting, there's not that much room for questions because we have short amount of time, but I'll make sure there's tons of time after the session for you to ask questions. The session will be around 30 minutes and there will be 15 minutes for Q&A. So any question you have while I'm presenting, put them in the chat so I can cover them after my part and make sure that you get your answer to your question. So I will start to share my screen and we can kick it off. And there we go. So maybe somebody can unmute for a second and let me know if you can see the screen so I can start the presentation.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Much appreciated. So welcome to everybody. Welcome. This session is about lead generation with your LinkedIn profile. And in this session, I'm going to share a bit of my own strategy, which I use to find new customers via LinkedIn. And also, of course, a lot of insights and tests that I've done to be successful with LinkedIn to grow your or my business. So one of my favorite sentences to kick off with is scrolling on LinkedIn doesn't deliver leads, a strategy does. A lot of people spend hours on LinkedIn scrolling, consuming content, and it's an interesting platform, right? There's lots we can learn. There's, at least in my timeline, always very interesting content. But just reading and watching content, unfortunately, doesn't deliver any new customers. It takes quite a bit of time and often it doesn't bring what people are looking for, which is new customers. So that's what we're going to talk about today. What should a good strategy look like when you want to find new customers via LinkedIn? So for those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Wendy. I'm a LinkedIn strategy consultant. I started my own business beginning of this year. And previous to that, I've been with LinkedIn for over 5 years. I worked for their marketing solutions department, which meant that I helped enterprise companies to advertise on the platform for marketing objectives and employer branding. And then, of course, when you start to advertise and there's more visibility, also profiles and pages played an important role. I worked in all different types of industries. That's the luxurious position you have at LinkedIn. You get quite a lot of interesting customers you can work with. So I've seen a lot of different industries, a lot of different companies. I've seen tons of pages, profiles, and campaigns. And all of that knowledge I take with me when I help my own clients today. And today I help my own clients to find new customers via LinkedIn, whether it's organic or paid. Today we're going to focus on the organic side, but paid is another element that I focus on with my own clients. I started my own business beginning of this year because I have a young family. I wanted to have more flexibility. And I wanted to taste what it's like to be an entrepreneur, which so far so good, I can tell you. And one of the questions I often ask when I kick off a session, so I'm going to ask myself that question as well, is what is not on your LinkedIn profile? And I'm addicted to sports. I start my day every day with a good workout. So that is me. And there's more I can tell about myself because I'm going to tell you all about lead generation via LinkedIn and it works. So before I'm going to tell you more about the strategy that you can use, I want to explain to you what I mean with it works. Because it's very vague, right? I can tell you it works, but what does it actually mean? For me, it means I get multiple new customer conversations in my calendar every week. I have a business that is based on a large group of customers because I work with customers very often, like in a package where they buy hours or they buy a set of hours, but I don't work as on an interim basis. So my business is built on a larger group of customers that I then help to succeed while using LinkedIn. Why is this important? I need a large group of customers to have a healthy business. So for me, it is important to get leads in every week so I can speak with new companies and find out if there's a fit between the company and myself. So when I say LinkedIn works for me, I'm saying I get meetings with potential new customers in my calendar every week. I decide how many of those I want to get in. So some weeks I'm pretty busy. I don't need a lot of new calls with new potential customers. Then I'm scaling down activities. And some weeks are more quiet and I have more space to take on new conversations, and I can then increase my effort so I get more meetings in my calendar. This is already an important element because what works or what success means might be different for you. So when you are an interim entrepreneur and you want to have one customer that you then work with on a full-time basis, you might not need like 5 or 6 new leads every week. Where if your business is similar to mine and you need that volume, then that is the case. So when I talk about it works for me, keep in mind that I'm always looking to get multiple meetings in my calendar. This way of managing the amount of meetings I get in my calendar can be very similar for you. Also, if you only want 1 or 2 per week or your business is different, but keep that in mind when you measure success. Another thing, what I mentioned when I say it works, is that the meetings that I have in my calendar are actually becoming customers. So I'm able to convert those leads into customers. So these leads are of high quality because there is a match. And this is another very important element when we measure success. Because when you fill your calendar with meetings, but no results coming out of it, something is going wrong. And yes, it could be the conversation you're having, but assuming you're all experts and you know what you're doing, there is something else that goes wrong. And I assume that it's early in that process. So when I talk about success, it's about high quality leads or meetings in my calendar. So I have the opportunity to sell my business. So let's move into what does that mean? So when we talk about lead generation on LinkedIn, I believe there are 4 different stages to achieve that. So we could say that a good strategy to attract new customers to your business, it is a lead generation strategy that is based on 4 elements. So yes, I said in the title of this webinar, you're going to find customers with your profile. And yes, you are going to find new customers with your profile, but that is just part of the process. So I wasn't 100% honest with you. You need to do a bit more than just having a good profile. I'm sorry. On the other hand, I promise you it's going to be worth it. So my strategy is based on 4 different elements. It starts with the ideal customer. And the ideal customer is key for success. You need to know, first of all, who your ideal customer is. And a lot of people tell me, well, okay, but I can work with anybody. If there's a company, big or small, or with a lot of revenue, or just a startup, if they need my help, I'm happy to help them. And I believe that. And I also believe you will deliver good quality. But if you don't choose, how can you expect them to choose you? Keep that in mind. If you don't choose, how can you expect them to choose you? So making a decision on who your ideal customer is key. And this is always the first step that I take with my customers. We do a deep dive into the ideal customer. Step 2 is the LinkedIn profile, because that's the base of everything, right? Once you have a good LinkedIn profile, the basis of your strategy are good. Because you have a presence on LinkedIn, it looks professional, and you leverage every opportunity that you can leverage on your profile to succeed. But a good profile will only be found when somebody is visible. So content plays a very important role as well, because content gives you the opportunity to become more visible within your network. And content can trigger people to go to your profile. It triggers people to get to know you, to build trust. So content plays a massive role. And yes, in the ideal world, we would all be posting 3 or 4, maybe 5 times per week. But I know that's not realistic, right? Especially not when you're just getting started. And this is one of the first sessions you do around lead generation with LinkedIn. And maybe you are a little bit further ahead and you do have that time to post more often. Then yes, good for you. And try to stick to the 3, 4, or maybe 5 times per week posting. But if you're not there yet, that's okay as well. Quality over quantity. And then a lot of people also come to me and say, I have my ideal customer in mind and I have a good profile and I'm sharing content and still nothing happens. What am I doing wrong? They're missing the last step. And the last step is selling the meeting. And that's what you do with direct messages. So direct messages to me are the last step to convert people into having a meeting with me. So they're crucial for success. So let's look into those 4 elements and see what they actually mean and how you can apply them to your own strategy. So who's your ideal customer? As I said, I spend at least an hour with my customers to talk about their ideal customer. And after that hour, they have homework to dive even deeper into their ideal customer because it's so important to have a good overview of who that ideal customer is. We look at the person that the ideal customer is. We look at their dreams, their pains, and we look at why does that ideal customer want to work with you. So having a good 360-degree view of your customer helps you across every step you're going to take. So if you would only take away one thing from today, or you're only making your first step, it would be sit down and write down who is your ideal customer. Really get to know that person. Is it a female or a male? What's the age? What's the income? Where do they live? What do they desire? What is it that keeps them up at night? There's tons of questions you can ask yourself to really dive into that ideal customer and really figure out who they are and what it is that they really care about. Because everything you write down about that ideal customer will help you to write content that actually resonates with them. And that brings me back to the point I mentioned earlier. When you choose to write content directly to your ideal customer, they are willing to choose you. When you stay very generic, nothing will happen. I can write a LinkedIn post that talks about a new LinkedIn profile feature, and people will love it, especially when I'm the first one talking about it. This post might go viral and all types of people will engage with it. Interns, owners of businesses, students, sales managers, you name it. There's tons of people will be like, oh, this is interesting. But nobody is like getting the feeling she speaks directly to me. When I do a post and I write in 3 steps how to get 3 or 5 meetings into your calendar next week to grow your business, there will be business owners who are like, oh, this is for me. This is a struggle that I have. When I mention something that really hurts them, as in, do you struggle to look into your calendar and you have no new meetings coming up for next week? How are you going to fill your calendar and how are you going to get those conversations? People will feel like, hey, she talks about me. This is me. So really understanding what the pain is, what the desire is, what the ideal world of your ideal customer is key to be able to write good content. But also it is key to write a profile that will actually deliver leads. So let's move on to that profile part. Your LinkedIn profile, as I said, is the basis for everything. This is where your home base is. So people will check you out on your profile. And I'm not going to do a session on what is a good LinkedIn profile, because I bet a lot of you have a good profile. And if this is something you're interested in, you can always reach out to me. I want to focus on the elements on your profile that actually deliver leads. And that very important part of your profile is, first of all, identify your audience and what is your goal. And we talked about audience, so I'm not going to talk about that any further. Again, do your homework, do a deep dive. But the goal is a really important one here, because on your profile, you want to be consistent with one clear goal. What do you want people to do when they visit your profile? So my business, again, is based on speaking with people, introduction calls where I can qualify them and they can qualify me and see if there's a fit. So getting a call with somebody for me is the most important goal that I have across my profile. Because once I have people on the phone, I can convince them why they should work with me and why my services are interesting to them. So my goal across my full profile is a free 20-minute advice call. I communicate this in my banner, it's in my headline, it's a button that I have on my profile to book an appointment. You see it in my about section, you see it in my featured media section, you see it in my experience section, it's everywhere. but it's also the only goal that I communicate. So it's very clear. There's only one thing I want. If this resonates with you, book that call with me and we'll continue the conversation. So communicate your goal and be consistent. So think about this. What is the first step that you want people to do before they become a customer of yours? Maybe it's similar to mine and you want them to book a call, or maybe you want them to download an ebook, or you have another freebie that you're giving away. But having that consistently on your profile makes it very easy for people to choose. Because when we give people multiple options, so reach out to me via email or give me a call or schedule a meeting, people are less likely to make a decision. So one goal, one option, you will see that will deliver most results. Make your profile visual, and another very important element, because visual profiles are more attractive. And when your ideal customer is visiting your profile, they want to feel like it's appealing to them. They want to read and see stuff that actually speaks to them directly. So in every piece of content that you share, you want to talk about the pains, desires, ideal outcome of your ideal customer. So this person being on your profile feels like, wow, this is the person I want to work with. This is the person I should have a conversation with. And add social proof. This is a great way to show that you're being an amazing person to work with when others tell you're a great person. So social proof can be done in the recommendation section, but there's now also the possibility to add this to your featured media section. So you can plug a recommendation into that section as well. But you can also use a quote from a customer, for example, in your About section, to bring it a bit further to the top of your profile. And use all skills that are available. So you can have skills or hashtags in the first part of your profile. When you switch on the creator mode, use it. You can have top skills in your About section, use it. You can add skills to your experience section, use it. You can add skills to your profile in general, up to 51 or 53 tons, use it, because these hashtags and these skills are feeding the search engine of LinkedIn. So you want to make sure that you're showing up for the right searches when people search for people. And sell that meeting. Again, when we talk about finding new customers via LinkedIn, sell them that one thing that you want them to do. So sell that meeting with you so they can have a conversation with you. Moving on to content. And wow, I made a screenshot here. This it might look weird, but what I want to show you is this post got a lot of engagement. And this is a typical example of a post that got tons of engagement, but didn't deliver any business to me. I mean, it was nice to get a lot of visibility. I got 200 new followers out of it, but no business at all. So to me, good content is content that helps me closer to my goal, and that is growing my business. So when we talk about content, identify your audience. There it is again. I keep repeating this because it is so important to keep your audience in mind. Set your goal. So every post that I post on LinkedIn has a specific goal. The goal, in my opinion, could be reach, similar to the one you see here. It can be trust, which is a really important one. It can be lead generation. It can be a handful of different goals. But what is more importantly is when you choose that goal, you can optimize for that goal. So when people connect with you, so when you make new connections, the first 2 weeks, your connections see all of your new posts. This is a massive opportunity because that means when you put in an effort to connect with your ideal customer, let's say you spend a week and you connect with 10 new people every day. 8 of them accept within a day or two. So you have 80 new connections in 10 days. And all those 80 new people will see every piece of content that you share. It is worth writing a post that is focused on building trust. So in that post, you share a lot of knowledge to show your network that you are very knowledgeable and you are an expert in your field. Another goal can be lead generation, as I said. For me, polls, for example, work really well for lead generation. When I ask a question like, what is it you want to learn about LinkedIn? And I give people 4 options: how to find a new job, how to do lead generation, how to write content, how to grow my network. I'm qualifying them on the spot. And I'm reaching out to those people who answered that question with a message saying, hey, interesting to hear you want to learn more about writing content on LinkedIn. What is it you struggle with? So I always ask them an open question based on that piece of content. But going back to how to write content, you choose your audience, you choose the goal, and then you choose the topic. Because when you choose your goal, and when your goal is, for example, trust, based on that goal, you want to pick the right topic you're going to write about. And once you have that, you also know how to measure success. So most of my success comes out of posts that only have a handful of likes, because those posts are often written directly to my ideal customer. And my ideal customer might not even engage with that post, but they do send me a message, or they do schedule that 20-minute free call with me because the post spoke directly to them. So making a post that speaks directly to an ideal customer means you're going to get less reach, but you're going to see more results. Start with a strong hook. Key, always key, regardless of your goal, that first line or the first 2 lines will make people decide whether they're going to click on the see more and read the rest of the text or not. Make it easy to read. I use a lot of spaces and bullet points in my text just to make sure that people can easily read or scan the text and get the key message. And have one clear CTA, one clear goal with your post. What do you want people to do? Again, multiple options makes people not make a decision at all. So have one clear goal at the end of the post. Do you want them to connect with you, schedule a meeting? Regardless of what it is, be very clear about it. Use 3 to 5 hashtags to grow visibility and to make sure that you can reach a wider audience, and use matching visuals. We can talk about visuals for hours. That's not the goal of this session today. So that's what I want to give you for now, as in make sure that your visuals stick and match with your message. Personally, I choose, for those of you who are connected with me and see a lot of my content in your feed, personally, I choose to use images of myself for the simple reason that faces stick with people. And my goal is to stay top of mind with my network. So when they come into a situation where they need a LinkedIn expert, or somebody is reaching out to them and say, hey, do you know a good LinkedIn expert? They will think of me because my face and my name will stick. This doesn't mean you should use images of yourself as well when you're not comfortable, but it does help to be consistent in the visuals that you use, regardless of what it is. And yes, of course, pictures work better than graphics when it comes to staying top of mind, but it doesn't mean it doesn't work at all. Consistency is key. And once you are able to manage that consistency, you're going to see success. And then that last step, as I mentioned, the direct messages. And this is where a lot of people are stopping, basically, as I said. They feel like they're doing everything right. And then out of the content, they're not getting any direct messages from their ideal customers. And this makes sense, right? Because when you see an interesting post, you're not going to send a direct message right away and say, hey, can I buy your product or services? You are willing to have a conversation when somebody's reaching out. So the perfect direct message. Well, let's take one step back. For me, the reason to send a direct message can be somebody who visits my profile, who I'm connected to, somebody who likes my content, especially when the content is about a specific topic, somebody who comments on my content, somebody who is engaging or commenting on content that I find really interesting as well. So we have a common ground. And another reason to send a direct message is, as I said, when I use polls to start a conversation. So these are all, to me, direct message opportunities to start a conversation with somebody. And this gives me the possibility to actually qualify people. So the perfect direct message is, of course, based on know your audience. What's on their mind? What do they care about? What are their pains, their desires? Keep it short. I mean, nobody is waiting for a long direct message that is giving too much information in text. I mean, we're here just talking about that first touch point that you're having with your ideal customer. So keep it short and find a clear reason. As I said, when somebody visits your profile, so they took an effort to look at your profile, that is a good reason to reach out. but not after 5 days, right? I'm not saying you should reach out to people who visit your profile 5 days ago because they might not even remember. So it is worth checking in every day. Similar to when you reach out to somebody because they liked your post, mention which post they liked. Because people like tons of things, right? So when you send them a message saying, hey, thanks for liking my post, they're going to be like, which one was that again? But when you say, hey, thanks for liking my post about topic A, B, and C, then it will resonate and it will make sense. Have a clear goal. So as I said, I use direct messages to qualify if there's a match. And qualification can be done pretty quickly because you can ask open questions and people will come back with answers. And then you will try to set up that meeting as soon as possible. So sell the meeting. So I always use open questions, as I said, so people will give me an answer back. And when I feel like, okay, there's an opportunity to share a bit of knowledge during a call, I will suggest that, and people often will say yes. And then we have that first conversation. So that is a lot so far. I've been talking for almost 30 minutes now, filling your heads with a good strategy. To sum this up, start with who's your ideal customer. Step number one, and I promise you, just spending an hour or two diving into your ideal customer will already give you tons of ideas of content. It will give you ideas how to optimize your profile. It will be worth your time. Second step is align your profile to that ideal customer. Write about their desires, write about their ideal world, and have that very clear goal on your profile, just one goal. Write content that actually speaks to your ideal customer and focus less on going viral and more on quality leads. So choose a specific goal with your post and stick to it and measure results based on that goal. And make sure you close the loop with direct messages. Make sure that you sell that meeting and you reach out to those people who engaged with your content, because this is 100% a direct message opportunity. So for those of you who are like, wow, this is exciting. As I said, I work with a lot of clients similar to you who want to find new customers via LinkedIn with their profile. I've thought I'd do something new. So this is the first time ever I'm doing a group program. I've never done it before, but I think it could fit a lot of people. So that's why I have this very sharp price as well. And in this group program, we're going to look into your ideal customer. You're going to get feedback from me as well on that ideal customer. We're going to focus on your profile. So you will have that profile that will actually convert. We'll talk about how to create content and find your own content marketing strategy so you can leverage that to generate leads. And I will learn you how to set up a decent direct message strategy that actually converts your followers into leads. And on top of that, you will have one session of 45 minutes with me where I will do a one-to-one session with you based on any question or any topic you want to talk about LinkedIn related. So as I said, this is only a price for the group of people who are joining me today. And the program will start half of December. So if you're interested, reach out to me, and happy to share some more details with you. So that was a lot from me. I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I'm going to give you the floor to ask me any questions if you have them. So stop sharing. I'm going to first check out the chat to see if there's any questions. Oh, yeah, I see. I'm just going to go from bottom to top. What tools do you use for content management and moderation? I don't use any tools. So I work 100% only on the LinkedIn platform. I always tell people I'm a bit too blue, as in I've been with LinkedIn for over 5 years, and LinkedIn is not a big fan of any automation or integration with external tools. So I literally grew up with the platform and use the platform natively. So no tools for me, and that doesn't mean there are no great tools out there, right? Don't get me wrong. I've seen tons of good tools, but what works for me is every morning I block my calendar between 9 and 10. So that means I'm not taking it on any meetings. And that gives me time to write a LinkedIn post and also engage with people engaging on my profile. Maybe an hour out of your calendar is too much, but 30 minutes I can highly recommend you. Or you can write in bulk, of course, and write content for a week. But for me, it works really well without any tools. But happy to give any feedback on tools you've seen or that you're testing. Because again, I've seen quite a few of them, but be careful. Because yeah, again, LinkedIn is not a big fan of integrations with third-party tools. How do you manage to talk different cultures and to make sure that they do respond in a direct message? Yeah, different cultures is an interesting one. Since I do everything in English, I'm Dutch, but I do everything in English. I have clients all over the world, and it's interesting because yes, there's a difference in cultures, but I also found out that people appreciate a kind message. So the direct messages that I send are often very short and very snappy, to the point. So I would send a message, for example, I've done a post today about, let's take the one from yesterday. Yesterday I did a post about how I handed in my notice last year, November, and started my own business. Let's say somebody left a comment on that post, I would reach out to them with a very short message saying, hey, thanks for engaging with my post. I really appreciate it. I mean, you can never go wrong with that, right? Regardless of the culture. Are you planning to start your own business? Or I check out their profile first, right? I'm not just going to send a random message. I check out their profile first. I find something that I feel like I can mention. And then I'm just asking an open question. From my experience, I never had a response from somebody who said, oh, you're being rude, or this is not in place. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is that people are not responding, and that's fine too. But I think, and that's my opinion, regardless of the culture or the country you're reaching out to, when you send an authentic, nice, open question, people are often very willing to respond. And even like a message saying, hey, I'm happy with everything I'm doing is an answer as well. And it's fine as well, because it helps qualifying people as well. How do you reach out to prospects without seeming salesy or pushy? Yeah, so when I send a message, I did a post, for example, around thought leadership ads, very specific topic. Thought leadership ads are an ad format which can be used by small advertisers, big advertisers. So I did a post about that topic. Somebody liked the post and I was like, oh, that's an interesting person. So I send a message and I say, hey, thanks for engaging with my post. I really appreciate it. And I do appreciate this, right? Because they give me extra exposure. And then I would ask a question like, have you already tested thought leadership ads? Or are you considering thought leadership ads? Or what's your experience with thought leadership ads? So I never sell anything in that first message. I just ask an open question. And when they come back saying, yeah, it's on my calendar, or I have plans to work with them next year, I'll just tell them like, do you want to have a quick conversation so I can give you some tips and tricks? Or let me know if you need any help beginning of next year. So I always offer just some insights. I will always tell people, let's book that 20-minute call and I will give you some tips. And I always make sure that people leave that 20-minute meeting they had with me with at least 1 or 2 valuable tips they can take away. Again, I'm doing qualification and I'm seeing if there's an opportunity to pitch my services, but my goal with that meeting as well is give them something they will take away, because it will help me or to sell my services, or they might do an introduction to somebody else because they had a good experience with me. So that's my approach there. Any other questions? Culture. Yeah, no questions in the chat. So if there's somebody who wants to unmute and ask a question or drop it in the chat, that's an option as well. But if you do want to unmute, you can definitely do so. I'm happy to answer your question.
Yeah, I was trying to type the question, Wendy. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you find that direct messages through LinkedIn are being effective? Or you get a good response rate? I've tried a few tools. So typically I've tried some automation tools, also tried LinkedIn licenses. what I realized is that asking for a connection and then trying to engage with people on a message when they already accepted the connection, that I had a higher response rate or a higher interaction rate instead of just directly sending them without any connection through the LinkedIn license. Maybe you haven't tried the automation tool as we said earlier, but do you have a good response rate in general, or is there like a specific way of maybe doing it so the conversion is much higher?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And thanks for mentioning that, Florian. I do connect with people, yeah. So if somebody is engaging with my content and we're not a connection, I will send them a connection request with that exact same words I just mentioned, like, hey, thanks for engaging with my content. I really appreciate it. So then the connection is the first step. And then the second step would be a direct message with an open question. And I think that does help, yes, when you already have that connection. Plus, if you don't have LinkedIn Premium, you won't be able to send tons of in-mails. And again, in-mails are not my favorite tool either. So I would always send a connection request, always personalized, and I always take something from their profile as well. Or again, I mention something like if they go to my profile, they visit my profile, I send a message. Some of you might have received it from me. If you check out my profile, thanks for visiting my profile. Appreciate it. I've tried to find something we have in common or something interesting on their profile. And then I say, I would appreciate to connect, and hopefully I can inspire you with LinkedIn related content. So they also know what they can expect from me. Yes, and once we are connected and I send them a direct message because they engage with my content, then the response rate is much higher. Absolutely. So thanks for asking that question.
No, thank you for the detailed answer. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. And how do you make business content more interesting? That's a good one. So that is the whole humanizing your business topic, right? It's an interesting one. So when we talk about lead generation via LinkedIn, via your profile, today we talk about the human approach. So as I said, all the content I write is based on my ideal customer. You can tell a lot about your business speaking directly to your ideal customer. So instead of doing a post that says, hey, we launched a new product and these are the new cool features that are available, which is a very product focused message, you can bring that same message in a different format. Because when you link those product features to the pains and desires that your ideal customer has, it all of a sudden becomes more interesting to them. So there is a lot in when you write content for your business, so business related content, there's a lot about, in my opinion, writing from your own opinion, writing from your own experience, making it sound like it comes from a human instead of a company. And yes, you might be a business owner or you work at a business. So communication to me on LinkedIn coming from a business is different from an individual. A business is doing marketing, a person is doing thought leadership. And who are we more likely to engage with? With the people, right? So when we talk about successful business content, it's content that sounds like it comes from a human and it sounds like it's humanized. So it has a real human touch in it. So there is a lot to win in just rewriting the content. It often does not mean you need to write completely different content. It often means it needs to have a different angle, it needs to have a different approach, but the message that you're bringing across can be very similar. It's just how do you present it in your post. But yeah, happy to give more insights on that because it's hard to give one answer now, of course, without seeing any of the content and then give feedback on it. But yeah, often speaking as a real person to a real person is the best way to drive success. Any other questions? Well, if there is no other questions now, that's absolutely fine. If you do have any questions and you want to reach out to me, send me a message via LinkedIn. Happy to answer any questions you have. And for those of you who are interested in working with me, besides of the group program, I do a lot of one-to-one programs with my customers. As I said, this is the first time I'm offering a group session. So if you're curious to join the group or you want to learn more about how I can help you in a one-to-one setting, in getting more leads and more customers via LinkedIn, happy to help you. I really appreciate your time today. I hope this was valuable to all of you, and hopefully we see each other in the timeline and maybe during a Teams meeting soon. So thanks for joining, and I'll make sure you all get a copy of the deck that I shared with you today.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome, and thanks for joining.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Thank you, Wendy. Hope you have a great day ahead. Thank you for the insightful information.
You're welcome, and thanks for joining. Appreciate it.